Ah, it is 10:05 on Halloween night. I don't know why I didn't take that out. NaNoWriMo is officially going to start around midnight, and I know that my co-ML is going to be hosting the virtual write-in on Slack, and that's probably going to start around 11:30. I did not come in here to talk about NaNoWriMo. I was just mainly telling you what day I'm recording this. What are you doing, wacko? I thought she was going after a bug or something the way she moved. Okay, anyway, I wanted to talk about this book that I read. I actually finished it a little while ago. I've been holding on to it because if I was afraid that if I returned it to the library, I would forget to talk about it because I wouldn't see it. But I'm going to return this tomorrow. It Devours, which is the second Welcome to NightVale novel and the fourth Welcome to NightVale book, because there's two books that aren't standalone novels. It's of the volume of episodes, which I'm not sure what that even is. Is it a transcript, or are they just talking about all the episodes? I will find out. I wanted to talk about this. This came out this month, and I'm the first person to check it out, which is why I kind of want to return it, because it hasn't even been on the shelf yet. I think I liked this a lot better than the first one. It seemed to be longer than the first one, a lot more involved than the first one. But at the same time, this is the book I'm reading after listening, now that I've been listening to the podcast. When I read the first novel, I never heard of Welcome to NightVale. I only picked up the book because the cover kind of attracted me. And once I started reading the book, I got interested in the podcast. I believe I did say before that with the first book, you most definitely do not have to have listened to the podcast to be able to understand the book, because it is standalone. There's going to be certain things that a person that has listened to the podcast is going to appreciate a little bit more, but it's not like if you don't listen to the podcast, you're going to be completely lost. With this book, I will say the same thing. I will say that you do not have to listen to the podcast to be able to follow it, because once again, it's a standalone story. To be honest, you don't really have to read the first novel to get this. I do feel that there's certain parts of this book that will be fleshed out a little bit more in the, mentally if you read the first book. There are a couple of characters that are really, really minor. They're just townspeople passing along, but they are mentioned a lot more in the first book. So it's not a situation where you're going to be confused. I think you'll definitely appreciate reading the first book before you read this one. And I do actually think that these books are cool. Some people can't listen to podcasts or drama played through like this, just through audio. I feel like at least with the books, you have a way to actually read about NightVale if you can't sit through the podcast, because I still think it's a really cool world and really cool story. I just decided I wasn't gonna breathe for 3 minutes. Apparently, this follows some different people than what it followed in the first book, even though some people are mentioned from the first book. First of all, I totally did not bring full attention the actual physical appearance of the book. We have this bright yellow cover. Right under the It Devours, we have rows and rows of teeth. I don't know what it was about this. This reminded me of like old style like comic book or something. I don't know what it's reminding me of, but it's like kind of nostalgic. The coolest part is the yellow cover. Complimentary page color. Literally complimentary. We have complimentary page colors. Purple is one of my favorite colors, but it just works so well. See, this is the kind of book that I could see myself reading this again, but this is the kind of stuff that people want to buy just because it's like they see something pretty and they want to own it. besides the fact that I like the book. So NightVale is a very strange world. I don't know how to, I don't know if I'll ever understand how to describe any NightVale book that ever comes up. You have a scientist who is an outsider, not originally from NightVale, and apparently a lot of the scientists are not originally from NightVale because they come from somewhere else. They hear about NightVale as being one of the most scientifically interesting towns in the country or in the world, and they come over to NightVale. She works for another scientist named Carlos, which if you listen to the podcast, you'll know who that is. He's actually voiced on the podcast. There is either now I see, this is why I wanted to do this as soon as possible, because I didn't want to start brain dumping details, and I already started. I can't remember whether Carlos was trying to do an investigation or experiment, but he felt that he was being sabotaged, so he sent this woman, Neelajana. Is it Neelajana or Nalajana? I think it's Nalajana Sivdar to investigate, and she learns about a religious cult called the Congregation of Smiling God. She finds herself caught between her scientific beliefs and what this cult believes, and she starts to believe that this church is trying to sabotage Carlos. So she starts investigating it and starts to realize that the church may be actually trying to bring their God out to swallow the whole town. And with anything having to do with NightVale, nothing is what it seems. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but I actually really enjoyed it. If I sound very slurry, I apologize, but I am currently dealing with a migraine, and when I get migraines, I slur. So I'm not drunk. That's just, it's just something that happens. I would recommend this. I would recommend reading the first book first, especially since I think the first book is more of a sampler of NightVale. It gives you a little bit of a taste of the town. Come and listen to the podcast. This one is like, okay, we've already explained this to you. Now this is what's going on. What are you two? Ever since she was a puppy, she knows when there's a camera on her and she's not feeling it. Anyway, if you're interested, I know as we've talked about, I'm still in the process of trying to, I do have some issues. I've had some kind of injuries happen to me over the past couple years, and I'm having to relearn not just how to speak, but how to communicate. So, and I have the hardest time trying to describe things. But if this sounds at all interesting to you, which it probably doesn't, because I don't even know what I just said in the past 13 minutes, but I would definitely recommend reading the first book first. And then if you think the first book is decent, maybe try listening to an episode or so of the podcast, or try to read this book. But I think this book is better, in my opinion. But I'd still recommend the first book first. I am going off on a tangent. So you can always tell when I have a migraine, because if I do this a lot when I talk, it's usually because of a migraine. It's just my lips automatically do that. Well, that's it. Probably be the first by the time you see this video. So I will say, for those of you who are participating in NaNoWriMo, good luck. And I'm going to be making another video tomorrow talking about the first day of NaNoWriMo. Who knows when that will get up. I am so unreliable when I feel like trash. It's warm in here. Okay. I'm stalling. Okay, so that is it. Once again, good luck at NaNoWriMo, and have a good week. and happy reading. See, I'm doing it again. I can't, that's migraine mouth. Okay, bye.